If you're an HVAC or refrigeration service provider, owner, operator of any kind, you're feeling budget constraints. You've got a collision course of shrinking budget, added responsibilities for the AIM Act, expensive labor and maintenance related to everything service because costs are going up everywhere. And as we gel together this September budget period, I think it's really important to note that the message 3 or 4 years ago was, how do I use leak detection to avoid fines? And now it's, how do we stretch every dollar? I would say the 3 big ones are protect uptime, cut truck rolls, and satisfy regulators without burning people out. That is the challenge. It gets very hard, particularly this time of year, to stay on top of leak detection. And if you're wondering why refrigerant leaks are such a big issue for businesses today, it's because ignoring the cost of the refrigerant, the cost for food waste, data center losses, shutdowns that relate to leaks in data centers, and costly product damage that happens throughout the cold chain, these are really the drivers. It's really not EPA regulations, although they're significant. And the secondary layer, I would say, most important, are lost energy, which is wasted energy. We're all trying to keep budgets down. And also another one that's a big one, which is reduce life cycle to these pieces of equipment, or increasing the expense of maintaining the life cycle of the equipment. Parts fail, compressors fail, condensers fail, fans fail, components fail. So utility bills, they're in the pile of related costs. These leaks are tough. They're hidden behind walls, floors, ceilings. Sometimes you have to get a scissor lift. Not easy to get to. So as a result, these often escape pre-warning if you don't have a leak detection system in place. There's all kinds of leak detection out there. There's the wands that we use when we walk the stores, super important. But those are not your first line of defense. Your first line of defense is going to be something like an AKO, NDIR leak detection system. And then you should be using this data that comes from these leak detectors, these physical leak detectors, for performance-related reviews, daily reviews, weekly reviews. That's how we started the leak detection as a service offering, because we recognized that these leak detectors don't read themselves. As good as indirect leak detection can be, it still needs a pivot point, and would be direct leak detection. Now, if you're in other states like California, Washington, Oregon, Colorado, New York, New Jersey, Massachusetts, these are the headline states. They all have different regulations. Additionally, there are about 17 other states that are also likely going to do their own thing. And the federal government wants them to do it. They really want to give up the responsibility of having to enforce all of these rules. They want the states to do that independently. Now, if you're in southeast states or some of the southwest states like Arizona, South Carolina, North Carolina, Missouri, Missouri's Midwest, Florida, you're looking at different types of responsibilities. They're the federal ones, and you may not have an extra layer, but what you do have is a lot more extreme weather conditions. That humidity in Florida, South Carolina, Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi, that is nothing easy to reckon with. These leaks will degrade the integrity of the operating system. That humidity will then become a complaint, which is a lot more in your face than an EPA audit. If you're wondering what's the real cost of not detecting a leak early, it's overtime truck rolls, I would say, is number one. That runs from $600 for an after-hours call, which is really conservative, but we see more commonly $1,000 to $1,500 per truck roll. And that's just to get your system back online or diagnose it quickly. So it's like your emergency room visit. We ran some numbers over the summer, and we looked for just refrigerant top-up events. And we found out the average top-up event's running about $250 a pound. And that quickly turns into a $6,000 maintenance responsibility bill. So that's a big one. Now, look, if you're trying to find reasons to not use leak detection, I'll let you do that on your own. But right now, I would say that the manual verification tools that we use on the front line, the wands, those are super important. But just as important are these NDIR leak detectors, just like the ones built by AKO, significant towards tracking and finding these leaks. The key is to reduce the noise, though, from these leaks. That's the leak detection as a service. If you're listening to this and you made it this far, I want you to reach out to me and ask me about that. Let's solve these leaks together. They're solvable.